Think business advice is all the same? Think again. We're cutting through the noise and getting straight to the strategies that drive real results.
Don't push too hard. People hate that. People do not enjoy being pushed.
Don't hound prospects with constant follow-ups. Stop calling my cell phone. This is a very careful dance. This is an art, not a science.
Welcome to enVisioning Success. Let's get into it.
Welcome back to enVisioning Success. I'm Laura DiBenedetto, joined by Julia Becker-Collins. Oh boy, have we got a humdinger for you. We're going to be talking to you about what not to do when marketing sends you a lead. And if you happen to be both marketing and sales, play along. It'll be fun. So marketing and sales, as we talked about in episode 69, are not always on the same page, even though they should be, because you have the same goals. So, you can absolutely bugger up all your marketing efforts by just whiffing on all your sales efforts. Like, there's a lot you can do wrong. I've been in sales my whole life. And I remember I was that little kid that my mom took me around in the car to go all see my neighbors and sell Yankee Candle and stuff. And I won a bike. So sales is kind of a part of me. And I can tell you confidently, the tips that we have for you are so awesome. You're going to really, really like these. And there's a really good chance that although we have 5 tips, it'll probably be sprinkled with like 50. So, because there's just so much meat on the bone. So without further ado, let's just dive in. I'll tell you the first one. Number 1, don't push too hard. People hate that. People do not enjoy being pushed. It doesn't mean that you can't be politely confrontational, like I like to talk about. And
that's very different, though.
Yes, it is. Pushing too hard is like really just kind of begging for the sale and annoying the prospect. But being politely confrontational is when someone is lying to themselves and you very gently bring it up and confront them about it and present it to them. Pushing too hard is like car dealerships. Sorry, guys, if you're a car dealer, don't do that. People hate it. That's why you have a bad reputation. Even worse, timeshare salespeople. Don't do that. It's absolutely terrible. Instead, you have to build know, like, and trust. Then you can figure out how to make a sale. If you successfully build know, like, and trust, which is when they know you, they like you, and they trust you, all 3, you shouldn't have to ask for the sale. It'll just organically happen. They'll just ask you, well, great, what's next? How do we move forward? And then you tell them. That's the easiest way to do it.
I have a great story to share.
Ooh.
I know. Okay, so if you follow me on LinkedIn, you saw probably a month or 2 ago, I asked for introductions to a website designer because I'm always looking for other people in the industry I can refer business to. That's not a good fit for us because, as we have said over and over again on this show, it's important to know who you sell to and who you don't sell to. And I get lots of inbound leads. Not everyone is a fit. And I was looking for somebody new to refer business to. Great. I got, when I say inundated, I'm being polite, with phone calls to my personal cell phone by salespeople that represented, freelancers, people overseas, people here in the States, all different people, because they would buy a product or a software that lets you look up somebody's cell phone number and email by their name. I got emails to my personal Gmail account. I got phone calls nonstop asking about introductions. I had to go back into the LinkedIn post and say, do not call my personal cell phone or email me because that's been happening. If you want to connect, comment on the post and leave me a link to your portfolio. Not a single person did that. All they said was, I'd like to talk to you, or I kept getting phone calls and emails. To this day, it's been over a month.
I didn't know you went through that. That's horrible.
It is one of the things that makes me want to throw things out the window. I was like, I almost answered some of them to be like, did you read the post? Do you understand what I said? No? Great.
Tell me you
Yeah.
didn't read the post without telling me you didn't read the post.
Exactly. And I don't know if that was a case of marketing saw it, and so they handed it off to sales. Nobody read anything. There were a handful of people that, sent me a direct message on LinkedIn. We had a nice conversation. Great. But 99.9% of the people that responded were atrocious.
Seriously.
And that's where I was like, oh, this is how people get sucked into buying from the wrong person.
Yeah, so pro tip, don't do that.
Don't do that. Please don't do that.
So that's not even pushing too hard. That's harassment.
Correct.
Ugh. Okay, see, I knew there'd be bonus tips in here. Knew it.
Don't look up somebody's cell phone number to call them. Have a conversation. Hi, I'd like to talk to you more about this. Here's a link to our website. Da 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 da.
Consent is nice.
Mm-hmm. And as we keep talking about, as how sales and marketing interplay, the last couple of episodes we've talked about it. I did have a handful of people that reached out. I looked at their websites, and the websites were so terrible that why would I refer business to you if your website is bad? And that's your marketing.
Yep. Yeah, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, the next point is amazing. It's all about listening, which clearly those folks didn't do. Tell us about point 2.
Point number 2 for today is to listen more than you talk. So to focus on understanding the sales prospect's needs instead of delivering a pre-scripted pitch. One of the important things I do when I'm in a sales conversation is I don't talk. I ask them a couple questions and I let them talk for 99% of the time until we kind of get to a place where I'm like, okay, great. This sounds like this. I kind of reiterate it back to them. They confirm it. And I go, okay, would it be okay if I tell you a little bit about what we do and how we work with people? That goes back to the consent part that Laura was mentioning. You want people to get buy-in. They want to feel like they have they're participating in the process, but really you should not be talking a lot. And when I'm being pitched to, whether it's buying a car or talking to somebody about some services, if they are doing most of the talking, I sit there and say to myself, you don't know how to sell. I do not respect you as a salesperson.
Yeah, I feel like you and I sometimes have the same internal monologue.
Mm-hmm.
Listening more than you talk is something that salespeople are notoriously crappy at.
Mm-hmm.
People just want to pitch.
I also think it's the sign of an immature salesperson, not like mature versus immature in how you deal with things, but somebody that's not as good or not as fluent. So my husband bought a car a couple of years ago. The literal child he bought the car from at the dealership talked the whole time. And I just sat there and I was like, not for me, but it's not my car. We left. My husband's very happy with the car he got. And I said, if we buy a car for me, I'm not buying it from him because he didn't listen. And so when the dealership called to ask my husband, how did your sales experience go? He was very clear with them. I thought it went well. I enjoyed the guy, but so that you're aware, we're going to be looking for a car for my wife in the next year and she will not deal with him because he didn't listen.
Yeah. You have to listen. It's
Gotta
so
listen.
important. So I remember when I was doing sales training years ago, I was really astonished to discover that most salespeople ask an average of less than 3 questions in the sales process. They mostly just want to present and they mostly just want to pitch. And we were encouraged to ask like 20 questions. Well, no difficulty for me there because I'm just a naturally inquisitive person. But, the thing about what we do is it's just so necessary and vital for us to follow a consultative sales process. I deeply need to understand your problem before I can even think about telling you what I have to offer you, because everything that we offer, it's not prescripted.
Hmm.
When it comes to really good quality marketing, you're not picking from a Cheesecake Factory menu, and I'm not picking on Cheesecake Factory. Love you. Um, it's really about having something that is custom tailored to your situation, your needs, your ideal customers, and then figuring out how does it mesh with your budget. Um,
Yep.
of course, that's custom. Well, if I'm yapping and flapping my gums the whole time, I'm not learning a damn thing about you. I'm not learning about what your problem is. I'm not understanding why it's upsetting you, the impact of the problem or the personal impact on you.
Right.
Now, if you ask a lot of questions, it's an easy way for you to listen more than you talk. Especially when it comes to just clarification. Is that what you meant? Or how did that happen? Or how'd you get into that? You
Hmm.
genuinely, I mean, listen more than you talk can be solved by be more curious.
And I think this is one of the points where we can bring up the difference between marketing and selling services versus products. So if you are selling or marketing a service, you should be asking a bajillion questions and listening, because it really should be a consultative sales process. Because if you're an insurance agency, people could buy from a million different insurance agencies. If you're a
Right.
law firm, somebody could buy from somebody else. Like, what sets you apart? Does the person feel heard?
Right.
Versus selling a product, like when we were buying the car, it's more about features and benefits. And so, yes, they absolutely should be listening. They absolutely should be asking questions, but it is easier to skate by, not do those things when you're selling a product, because you're showing them the Honda Accord and it kind of is what it is. And they
Right.
can only buy it from so many places, and you either like it or you don't.
Yeah. You know, it actually reminds me of when I was at the Apple store with my mom, and she wanted to buy an Apple Watch. She didn't know which one. I knew which one she wanted, but you know, it was so easy to just watch. I mean, this poor kid. I give him an A for effort. He really tried. I mean, he hadn't been doing sales a long time, but he's trying to get to know her. Well, how would you use it, et cetera, et cetera. He didn't do a good job of meeting her where she is. Mommy's 81.
Right.
Like, do you know anybody that's 80 that wants to talk about their fitness levels? Damn few. That's really not their priority. So his questions were really not great, but there are many versions of the Apple Watch. So features and benefits, yes, but sometimes it's pairing the right solution. If you do have a predetermined set of options like Apple Watches or Honda Motors, um, picking well, based on your situation, now I can confidently say this will be a good fit for you
Right.
because, and these would not be a good fit for you because your job in sales is to actually facilitate, it's to serve, it's to help, it's not to push. Don't do that.
Correct.
So, point number 3, we've talked about this in the last 2 episodes quite a bit. Um, avoid overpromising. This, I mean, oh God. We were talking about in the second point of the last episode, episode 70, we talked about setting realistic timelines. Um, this is that. This is a continuation of that point. Don't overpromise. First of all, yeah, you might make a sale quicker, but you'll lose it immediately. They'll fire you quickly as well. You also burn a bridge. It will lead to buyer's remorse, potentially bad reviews. And here's the thing about reputation: it takes a lifetime to build, but it can take minutes to destroy. And bad news does travel fast. So I know that particularly if you're a newer entrepreneur or if you're newer in sales, you're probably very excited and you're probably going to be over eager and maybe even overinflate your capabilities in your own head so you don't feel like you're over promising. So I'm not saying that you're lying to people, even if you say something that's not necessarily going to happen. It could be that you have actually overpromised yourself. So what I would encourage you to do is have a very, very honest conversation with yourself about what you actually can do and then sell that. I would promise you that if you under promise people and then over deliver, they'll be thrilled. Yes, it's harder to sell, but they're easier to keep. And that's how you can build legacy wealth.
Mm-hmm.
So sell it right the first time.
Yes. I will die on the under promise, over deliver, don't over promise, under deliver hill.
I love that.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Number 4, follow up strategically. Can I say this louder for those idiots on LinkedIn? Don't hound prospects with constant follow-ups. Stop calling my cell phone. Respect the prospect's timeline while also keeping you and what you're selling top of mind. This is a very careful dance. This is an art, not a science. This is, if they like to text and they like to text, follow up strategically. Don't do it every day. And this also goes back to point number 2 that we were talking about, listening more than talking. One of the great clarifying questions is, what's your timeline for making a decision? And then another really great clarifying question is, when can I expect to hear back from you so that I'm not bothering you? I just said that to a prospect and they were like, oh, we'll get back to you today. And they did. But I was very clear that, I want to understand where this is for you so that next week when I follow up with you, that's a good follow-up, not an annoying follow-up.
Yeah. No, that's really good. There's lots of prospects I've spoken with over the years, and we brought in a client recently that it was 5 years of relationship building and just, very casual follow-up and zero pressure. And the time just wasn't right. The desire was there because the know, like, and trust factor had been built 50 times over. And I had done business with him at another one of my companies. And it was just a really great relationship. So, I continued to just toss a pebble here and there. Is it time to talk about that yet? And he's like, no, I mean, when it is, you're my person. But, that's why the know, like, and trust is so important. And I think people, they're just so hell bent on making a sale that, they miss that. Story for you. I was chatting with another one of my clients 2 days ago. They had a sales conversation that, they're learning to sell and they're not super graceful at it, kind of like moving fast and breaking stuff. And that's fine. I mean, that's how you learn. I'd rather have them do that than sit on their laurels and do nothing. So, we were kind of doing the postmortem on it and dissected it. He had recorded it on Zoom so I could actually watch it back and provide him with some really on the spot training about how to sell better, how to speak to people better. It was just really blowing my mind about how he was looking at it well, I didn't make the sale. It was such a huge loss. I got a big goose egg today. And I was like, okay, well, there's many different types of victories. And okay, you recorded it. So now we could totally dissect it. You just got a ton of education. The deal ain't dead, even though they didn't love the way you treated them. So here's how you're going to handle it. You just built a relationship with somebody. And it's fixable. So anyway, skip ahead. I gave him advice on how to handle the fumble, how to handle, what to do next. And wouldn't you know, the prospect was like, okay, I'll move forward. I was astonished. I'm like, all right, great. We used a bit of a negative close, which I wasn't expecting. He would be super excited about because that can make people nervous. But people get really, I don't know, weird about wins. And the only win that counts is, did I make a sale? It's well, if I had looked at my 5-year-long sales process with one of our newer clients, it never would have happened.
Right.
But the wins kept coming. I made a friend. It's a great relationship. This is going to be the best client we've ever had because we took so long to bring him on and the relationship is like solid as a rock. I know him so well, so now I can serve him better. And he's referred me to other people. Like, there are no losses here, not a single one. The money will come when it's right. So I suppose that's point 4B. Like, take all your wins, even if they're not financial.
Can you explain to people what a negative close is?
Yeah, sure. So a negative close is sometimes when someone says to you, oh, well, I'm going to need you to change your contract terms to this, this, and this, and I need you to, chop your prices in half. And it's if you don't like things the way they are, we're probably not a fit for you, but it's been really great meeting you.
Mm-hmm.
But if you'd like the top quality help that we talked about, and if you'd like the solution, this is what it looks like, and I'll be here when you need me. It's a very confident posture. It's a very I'm okay saying goodbye to you, and I am saying goodbye to you. But if you decide to meet me on my terms, feel free. So that's a negative close, and you don't use that all the time. But if someone screws with you, frankly, and they're trying to get you to do more than compromise, but to actually bend over in half to the point where it's no longer serving you, I'll use a negative close to make a bad prospect go away or to turn a bad prospect into a good one.
Great. Thank you. Number 5, can you tell us about that?
Sure. This one's vital. This is actually a lot like job interviews. Don't skip your research. So before jumping into a sales conversation, it is actually a good idea for you to use the data and insights that marketing provides to tailor your approach. Also, the Google machine is kind of amazing. So you can actually look stuff up yourself, learn about the company, learn about the principles, learn about who these people are. Like, when I'm trying to buy companies, yes, I'm cyber stalking people. I want to know, who are you? Do you have a trail of dead bodies? Like, what am I buying? And yes, I'm selling myself, but I'm also buying something. Sales is everything from, hubby, will you please do the dishes? I'm too busy right now, to I'd like to buy your company, to please buy my services. It's, it's everything, right? And when you skip your research, you look like a schmuck because you're asking naive questions that are probably readily available. Now, let's say you're going for a job interview at Hewlett Packard, but you've never heard of Hewlett Packard, and then they ask you, why do you want to work here? Oh, because it seems like a nice company. Great. What do you know about us? And then you fumble. Don't do that. You actually look like such a rock star. And I suppose here's point 5B. You reveal what you know by the questions that you ask. Not by the answers that you give. Yes, you'll give answers and you'll look like a rock star if you've done your homework, but you will look like such a genius and such a hero when you ask really damn good questions. You can't do that without doing your homework. So don't skip your research.
I was in sales conversations probably like a year and a half ago with a company that ended up signing with us. And I obviously did my research before the meetings. I looked, the Google machine, like you said, very powerful. Even if it is our evil overlord, I'm okay with that sometimes. Look at the website. What are the reviews like? What can you find as a common everyday person, especially because this company was B2C? And they are providing a service. So if you are a B2C company providing a service, your lifeblood is your website and your reputation. So what does the average person see about this company when they Google them, especially when they're trying to sell to a younger demographic? They're not trying to sell to the 60-year-olds, they're trying to sell to the new homeowners in their 30s. And they had a very serious reputation problem. Great company, family run, around for a really long time. And when I sat down with the owner, he was like, I don't know if you looked us up, but we have a little bit of a review problem. We have, and I was like, you might be understating that. He had only 1-star reviews. And it wasn't
That's
reflected.
Not a little review problem.
It's not a little problem. It was a big problem. Like
Yeah.
many, many 1-star reviews. Nothing's being responded to. And it was also reflective of a different time in the company when somebody else owned it. And nothing had been done about it since. So it takes a really good marketing professional to look at that, not get scared, and be able to rehab it. But also in the sales process, it was really helpful, really, really helpful that I was able to say to him, yes, I have read all of those reviews. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I can speak to that directly. And that's one of the reasons I was able to close it, because I already knew what he was talking about. And I came prepared with a plan.
Nice job.
Mhm.
High five.
High five.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
So this is a really great episode. I feel like I'm going to be sharing this one a lot. Um, the it ugh, it blows my mind how uncomfortable people are with sales, and because of their discomfort, they make mistake after mistake after mistake. I would say that there's another tip for you here. Get over yourself. Sales is
Mhm.
not something that you do to someone. It's something you do for someone, with someone, if you're doing it right. So get over yourself, figure it out, get comfortable talking about money, because that's the language of commerce. That's the
Mhm.
language of business. And if you can do that, you'll be able to take these tips, put them into practice, and start selling like gangbusters and actually grow your company and do really well, and take all those beautiful, amazing special leads that your marketing gives you and do something great with them. And you won't fumble them. And then you'll be like, oh my God, my marketing's so great. My sales is great too. That's the goal.
Yep. I hard agree.
Nice. So, on that note, my friends, we always want to hear what you have to say. If you go to vision-advertising.com, go to the contact page and shoot us a little note. Let us know how you like the show, and if there's a specific question we can answer for you. That would be so cool. We love building shows around you. As much as it's fun to flap my gums and hang out with Julia Gulia, I would much
Don't call me.
prefer. I know you hate it.
I hate it so much.
No, that's your name in Skype.
What?
So honestly, it's fun chatting with her, but the whole reason we did this is for you. So let us know what you think. And if you want to be a hero, you could leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. I think I've done my housekeeping. In the next episode, we're going to conclude our 4-episode arc, and we're going to bring it all together, and we're going to give you some conclusive points about sales and marketing for seamless success. And I will see you next episode.